Hello my friends and welcome. Ukraine continued to use Storm Shadow or SCALP missiles to target the Russian infrastructure on the occupied territory as well. Today, two of the Russian military bases were targeted by SCALP, which is identical to Storm Shadow. We have the reports from the eyewitnesses. They published those kind of the images, and the Russian side says that it was the oil depot. But Ukrainian intelligence, together with some of the Western analytics, say that it was really a Russian base with lots of the ammunition. And indeed, the smoke is kind of strange. Usually it's black, then it is the oil burning. Later on, Ukraine had launched two more of the cruise missiles targeting for sure the Russian military base with the Russian barracks. Sorry guys, I blurred the image over here, but you may check it out on my Telegram channel. You may find it in the video description just below. I publish lots of the information on my Telegram group to update you with the most recent events. Here probably I can show you this image from the different angle. And here the missile remains on one of the airfoils. You may see the marking. It says France, so for sure it is the SCALP missile. Right, about the Iranian President Raisi, this morning he was actually found. The remains of the helicopter were also found. All of the pilots and passengers on board are gone. This is the place where accident happened, so for sure they went right into the mountain. Yesterday, Iranian plus Russian media sources say that it was a hard landing of the helicopter. For sure it was, as you can see. And this is the helicopter, it's Bell 212, it's not the Mi-171. As previously was reported, however, this is also a kind of old helicopter, which wasn't equipped with transponder or the transponder was switched off. That's why Turkish side, which took part in the search and rescue operation using their Akinci drone, say that it was really hard to find this helicopter, but finally they managed to do it. Here's one more photo of this helicopter. Some of the other pictures start to appear in internet, but it is the old accident happened to this Cessna airplane, also in Iranian mountains. I know why those pictures were shared by the media, but immediately understood that it is the airplane, not the helicopter. Here's the spot from the different angle. You can see quite high mountain, so helicopter went into terrain because of the thick fog. A pilot mistake 100%, but I think they were forced to perform this flight by their president dictator. Raisi, thank you for choosing Shahid Airlines. Next time, call Putin. I think that with the current Iranian regime, we shouldn't expect any sort of the changes of the Iranian policy in the nearby future at least. Also, yesterday I told the wrong information that the internal affairs minister was on board of that helicopter. Actually, it was the foreign minister of Iran. One more possible reason for this air crash that the helicopter was quite old and maybe not maintained well because of the Western sanctions applied on Iran. They still have lots of the old aircraft mainly. But personally, I think that this helicopter was well maintained because it is the presidential helicopter. I think that they found the ways to deliver the spare parts for it. So I tend to believe that it was a pilot's mistake. Pentagon chief says that the next week will be decisive for the war in Ukraine because Russia will try to create some sort of the buffer areas in Kharkiv Oblast, as we see it. He didn't say about the other parts of Ukraine which are bordering with Russia, for example, Chernihiv or Sumy, but we know that Russia is creating an attack force near Sumy region. So for sure they will strike there as well, and also they will intensify their attacks somewhere on the east. And every day we see the Russian movement, for example, in Kharkiv Oblast. Let's go to the timeline yesterday and today. Russians occupied this forest and some of the fields, plus they went deeper into Vovchansk. Let's go closer to that city. It's kind of the big settlement compared to what Russia was able to occupy before, if we speak about the Kharkiv region. And here Ukraine controls, as it was officially said today, 60% of the settlement. 60. Including the southern area of Vovchansk, so Russia occupied the most part of the northern one. Plus they have multiple attempts to cross this river. For now, Ukraine doesn't allow Russians to do so. Here's the latest update from the Mi-73. You may see the Russian advancement towards the central part of the city. Russia tries to send their tanks and heavy vehicles to Vovchansk, but all of them are being demolished by Ukrainian FPV drones or artillery. So far, Russia fights there mostly with infantry, which is backed up by artillery, also FPV drones, and the Russian aviation gliding bombs. But Ukraine also uses aviation bombs out there, plus GLSDB shells. We have the confirmation about it visually from the drone cameras. Guys, I'll share this video on my Telegram. I cannot post it on this platform. Kind of the interesting accident happened today in Shebekina. Russia dropped purposely 4 of the FAB aviation bombs on that settlement because pilots thought that it's not Shebekina but Vovchansk. Yeah, definitely the city is also divided by the river. So Russian pilots decided to drop their bombs out there. Yeah, it was done by mistake, but on purpose. Bombs didn't drop on their own as it happens usually. What did the military experts say about the Russian Kharkiv advancement? Well, mostly it was slowed down by Ukrainian side. It hasn't been stopped yet, but Ukraine disturbed Russian plans of occupation and creating some sort of the buffer area. The best case scenario for Russia would be the advancement towards Kupiansk from Vovchansk, simultaneously from the east as well. But it's kind of hard to do in the current conditions for Russia because Ukraine created some of the defense lines in the area, and the terrain plus many of the war obstacles do not allow Russia to move fast. So I don't think that they will be successful with their plan. Also, the occupation of Kharkiv is just impossible with the current Russian army resources, which they concentrate in Kharkiv region. And we have the similar picture on the 3D map source, so you may see that Russia occupied the great part of the northern side of Vovchansk. The question is whether they are capable to advance across the Vovcha river. Well, here this source says that Russia tried to do it, but according to my information, they're unable to cross this bridge. They were totally annihilated. At the same time, Ukraine still hasn't got the clearance to use the Western-made weaponry over the Russian territory or on the Russian territory. Lloyd Austin said that there was a big scandal in Germany, he said, after Ukraine used Patriot missiles to target Russian airplanes in the Russian airspace. So clearly Ukraine still doesn't have that permission. And Zelensky says that all of the Western weaponry comes to Ukraine with a huge delay for at least 1 year. If Ukraine had the Patriot systems in 2022, Russia would probably stop attacking Ukrainian infrastructure because by that time all of their missiles would have been just shut down by Ukrainian air defense. But today Ukraine struggles with the air defense and Russia was able to black out many of the Ukrainian cities targeting Ukrainian power plants. Alright, so Ukraine has received the F-16 flight simulator with a mixed reality. This is how the helmet of the mixed reality looks like, so pilot sees the outside environment as he or she was flying in a real airplane, all the surroundings. I think that it's the next step in the pilot training in general. I'm sure that it should be done also in commercial aviation after some period of time. The simulator itself is not a big deal, but it's packed with a good brand new technology. About Robotina village, we have the information that Ukraine controls this village by 20%, only that. So it's just a matter of time that Russia occupies this village. With all of their midwave attacks, they were finally successful. But just imagine the number of the troops which they lose in attempt to get this under control. And this village doesn't exist any longer. No, it's totally grounded. Plus Russia sends their best forces to attack Robotina. It's just crazy. But it seems like they may allow those losses because they still have lots of the army men, potential army men, and there are some rumors that Russia might announce a new mobilization this year. I see those signs in the Russian media field almost every day. For example, this time the Russian Parliament Military Committee representative Viktor Sobolev said that all of the Russian men should be mobilized in case Russia would announce a total war against Ukraine. There should be no exclusion for the new nationalities who just entered the Russian citizenship or who has more than 3 kids. So Russia potentially might mobilize millions of men in this particular case. Well, maybe it will not be so radical as this guy says, but it could happen. Also, we know that Russia introduced special laws to make mobilization as fast as possible. But there are some of the Russian opposition media sources which use YouTube to share the information of how to avoid the service in the Russian army for the Russian men. And one of those channels, Over the Info, got the warning today from YouTube that their account will be suspended for the Russian viewers. We got this information from the next media source and definitely it looks like legit. Why did YouTube try to block the channel? Well, basically because Russian authorities complained for the channel, which shares the information of how to avoid conscription army service. I'm very surprised that YouTube decided to block the channel for Russian viewers. It's the first time that this platform agrees with the Russian official complaints. My friends, also I have some of the issues with my videos. Many of those were restricted on my channel. So if you want to support the job that I do on YouTube, you may subscribe for my Patreon page. Obviously, if you want to support the job that I do daily, thank you so much for it. And Estonian Prime Minister said that some of the NATO countries already sent their forces for the training of Ukrainian soldiers on Ukrainian territory. She said about it in her interview to Financial Times. At the same time, she assured that it will not bring the escalation with the Russian Federation. Well, mainly not. I think Russia is still bluffing. They're okay with instructors to be on Ukrainian territory. I would say that it's nothing extraordinary. Russia wouldn't start to attack NATO countries because of it, no. 2 years have passed since our soldiers left Azovstal and were mostly imprisoned by Russians. Many of the Azovstal defenders are still in the Russian prisons. Yeah, the leaders of Azov were released with some of the soldiers, but there are still hundreds of Azov soldiers in Russia. The Azov commander already shared this photo. Probably it's him from what I may understand, yet the quality is not that good, but here they speak with a Russian representative about surrendering the Azovstal to Russian army. By that moment, there were more than 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers in Azovstal. Those are some sort of the improvised negotiations. First of all, Azov got the order to surrender from Ukrainian command and Ukrainian president. By that time, there was the information spread that our soldiers would surrender the Azovstal for Russia, but later on will be released by Russians. It didn't happen fully. Just a portion of the soldiers were released, as I say to you. I know the case about one Ukrainian soldier who stayed in Azovstal, who said that I'll stay there no matter what. It was his decision, and definitely if Russia had found the soldier, they would absolutely 100% eliminate him. But our soldier managed to escape Azovstal and he went to Ukrainian-controlled territory, mostly during the night time. He was fighting in Mariupol for a very long time, so he knew the territory. And now he's free and still fighting for Ukraine. Today China complained about the United States supporting Ukraine with weaponry and other stuff. China says it shouldn't be done, but China itself supports Russia with technologies and also with some of the crucial equipment which Russian army needs. The United States representative responded that they will support Ukraine as long as it takes for Russia to withdraw its forces from the occupied territories. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court released a statement that they want the warrant on Israel Prime Minister, Defense Minister, and 3 of the Hamas officials. The United States of America officially condemned this move from the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court and say that they do not recognize this stuff. Well, I'm gonna take my opinion with me on this topic, at least for now. As for the Russian and Ukrainian vehicle losses for the last 3 days, Russia lost 287 vehicles, Ukraine 134. So the ratio is 1 to 2. We see that Ukraine started to lose more vehicles, I think because Ukraine sent reinforcements to the Kharkiv region. Russia continued to modify their old T-62 tanks into those creepy Mad Max-looking vehicles which they used to demand the fields, but sometimes it doesn't work well for them. Well, this particular unit hit some of the mines, the plug didn't help, and crew left this machine. Well, the drone protection of the unit is quite effective, but mines might help Ukraine. As for the information about the possible kaput of the Russian ships in Sevastopol Bay yesterday, well, we're still out of the real evidence of that. I'm waiting for the photos from the place, or at least satellite images, but those haven't been shared yet into the internet. China is learning on the war in Ukraine and they start to create lots of the drone units. In this case, it is the FPV drone unit. The guys on the right have FPVs and this guy has the surveillance DJI drone. Well, judging on the equipment, those are DJI goggles, DJI controls, and mainly DJI drones. At least this is Avanta DJI drone. Again, the standard control joystick, so no modernization for now is done. Maybe they're using those for the training purposes. Well, China is still a #1 producer of the drones and the drones components, so they have lots of the experience in that technology. Also, if you take any sort of the modern action cameras or 360 cameras, if it's not GoPro, it is made in China. I wonder if GoPro is made in China too. I think not. But GoPro experienced crisis now, unlike Chinese companies, so everything, basically electronics that we use, is made in China. And they supply all of that to the Russian Federation. My friends, now don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.